Eli wiped the sweat from his brow as he leaned over the gleaming chassis of the star freighter. Sparks from his welding torch danced like tiny fireflies, reflecting off the polished metal of the hull. Around him, the hum of the space station was constant. Ships docking, engines revving, voices in alien tongues echoing through the corridors. He loved the chaos. It made him feel alive. Repairing ships was his art, and every bolt or wire he touched felt like part of a bigger masterpiece. He was just about to finish the final adjustments on the freighter's engine when the station doors hissed open. Eli glanced up, expecting another pilot in a hurry, but instead, a figure appeared in the doorway that made him freeze. She was tall, taller than any human he had ever seen, with skin that shimmered like polished bronze under the station lights. Her armor gleamed, gold and silver plates etched with strange patterns that Eli could not recognize. Yet the metal was dented, scratched, and cracked in several places. Despite its damage, she moved with a fluid grace, as if she belonged somewhere far beyond this dusty repair dock. Eli stood and straightened his jumpsuit, trying not to look too surprised. He had repaired many types of alien ships and machinery, but he had never seen armor like this. Something about it screamed advanced technology, old enough to have history, yet new enough to be alive with energy. "Can you fix this?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. It carried a weight, though Eli could not yet place it. Her eyes, large and golden, studied him carefully, as if measuring his worth in a single glance. Eli nodded. "Of course. I've worked on some strange tech before, but this is something else. Mind if I take a closer look?" She simply nodded and stepped forward, placing her armor on a nearby workbench. As he examined it, Eli realized this was no ordinary suit. The plating seemed layered with multiple energy circuits, the kind he had only seen in theoretical designs. Tiny symbols pulsed faintly, glowing in rhythm with what he guessed was her life force. "Where did you get this?" he asked, curiosity overcoming his nerves. "Far away," she replied, the corners of her mouth hinting at a faint smile. "It has been with me for a long journey." Eli nodded, already captivated by the challenge. "I can fix it. Shouldn't be a problem. But it's complex. I need time and space to work." She simply stepped back and allowed him to begin. Hours passed, sparks flew, energy panels hummed, and Eli's hands moved with precision and speed. He discovered that some plates had self-repairing alloys that reacted oddly to human tools. Each adjustment required careful thought, experimentation, and improvisation. He spoke out loud as he worked, almost as if narrating the process for himself. "This is strange. This alloy contracts when heated, but only partially. I'll have to reinforce it from the inside. And these circuits, wow, they're like nothing I've seen. Whoever built this knew what they were doing." The alien woman watched silently, her head slightly tilted. She didn't interrupt, but her eyes followed every movement, occasionally flickering with a light that matched the armor's faint pulse. Eli felt as if she was measuring him, not just his skill, but his mind, his heart. Finally, as he tightened the last energy conductor, a soft beep echoed from the armor. The panels aligned perfectly, the glow stabilized, and the suit hummed with a quiet, powerful energy. Eli leaned back, wiping sweat from his forehead. "There. That should hold for a long time. If there's ever a problem, just let me know," he said, pride swelling in his chest. The woman stepped closer and ran a hand along the armor. The metal responded, folding slightly under her touch. Eli noticed a strange pattern flash across the plates, like a hidden message only she could read. She looked at him, her golden eyes gleaming, and for a moment, he thought he saw something familiar, almost human in her expression. "Thank you," she said simply. Eli smiled, feeling a mix of relief and pride. "No problem. Just be careful with it. Whoever you're facing out there, I can tell this armor has seen battles that would make your hair stand on end." Her gaze flicked toward the station doors, her posture stiffening. Eli followed her eyes but saw nothing unusual, just the normal comings and goings of traders and travelers. Still, he felt a strange tension in the air, something he couldn't explain. "Do you need, protection?" he asked, almost reflexively. The woman's eyes met his, sharp and calculating. "Perhaps, but I have learned to handle myself." Eli chuckled. "Still, if you want, I can help. I've had a few close calls with pirates, nothing I couldn't handle, mostly." He scratched the back of his neck, feeling slightly embarrassed at his boast. She tilted her head, studying him again. Eli realized she was assessing him in a way that made him uncomfortable. And yet, there was a flicker of something else. Trust? Perhaps curiosity? Before he could ask more, a commotion erupted at the far end of the dock. Several figures darted through the crowd, moving too fast, too purposefully to be ordinary travelers. Eli noticed the small weapons glinting in their hands. "Eli," the woman said, her voice suddenly firm, commanding yet controlled. "Step back." He froze. Something about the change in her tone made his stomach tighten. The figures were approaching quickly, their intent clear. They were after her. Without thinking, Eli grabbed a nearby tool, a compact plasma welder, and stepped in front of her. "You're not taking her," he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. The attackers paused, surprised by the human standing up. The alien woman didn't move immediately. Instead, she measured the situation and then, with a speed that made Eli's head spin, she stepped into a defensive stance. The attackers lunged. Eli fired the plasma welder in a wide arc, causing sparks to fly, and one of them to stumble. The alien woman moved like a shadow, her armor absorbing blows and reflecting light in mesmerizing patterns. She disarmed one attacker with a swift kick, and Eli could barely keep up. He realized then that she wasn't just strong. She was trained, highly skilled, a warrior born for battle. The skirmish ended as quickly as it began. The attackers retreated, leaving behind weapons and a lingering tension. Eli breathed heavily, heart racing as he looked at the woman. You didn't need me," he panted. She shook her head slightly, almost a smile on her lips. "You acted with courage." "That matters." Eli felt a warmth spread through him at her words, though he didn't understand why a stranger's approval affected him so deeply. I didn't want anything to happen to you. That armor, it's incredible, and so are you." She studied him quietly, her golden eyes thoughtful. "Few humans understand courage beyond fear. You do." Eli felt both pride and embarrassment, unsure how to respond. He had always thought of humans as clever, adaptable, but fragile compared to other species. Yet here he was, standing beside someone who radiated power, being acknowledged for bravery. For a moment, the station felt different. The noise faded into the background, the hum of engines and chatter becoming distant. It was just him and her, and the strange, unspoken connection between engineer and warrior. Finally, she stepped back, her posture returning to calm dignity. "I must continue my journey soon, but I am grateful for your aid." Eli nodded, feeling the weight of unspoken words. "If you ever need repairs again, or help, I'm here." She inclined her head. "I will remember." As she turned to leave, Eli watched her walk away. Her figure, tall and regal even without a crown, moved through the docking bay with unmatched grace. He had no idea then that this woman was a queen, a ruler of worlds carrying the fate of an empire on her shoulders. To him, she was just an alien client with broken armor. But soon he would realize that everything had changed the moment she walked into his workshop. And in the quiet hum of the dock, as sparks settled and the last bit of heat from his welding torch faded, Eli felt a strange mix of excitement and unease. He was part of something far bigger than he could yet imagine, something that would challenge everything he knew about courage, loyalty, and what it truly meant to be human. The station was quieter than usual after the skirmish. Eli could still feel his pulse racing as he returned to his workshop. Sparks from his last welding session had settled, leaving tiny, glowing streaks on the floor, like fireflies caught in still air. He leaned against his workbench and ran a hand through his hair. His mind kept drifting back to her, the tall, golden-eyed alien whose armor he had repaired. Even now, the memory of her speed and power made him feel both awe and unease. He shook his head. "She's not from around here," he muttered. "Not just another traveler, not just another client." Eli was a careful man. His curiosity often got the better of him. But he prided himself on noticing details others missed. He remembered the faint pulses in her armor, the soft glow of circuits that didn't match any standard design. That energy signature had been unusual, almost alive, and it wasn't just a decoration. It was connected to her body, or perhaps to her very essence. He returned to the bench, thinking he might try to study it further. Maybe he could understand more about how the armor worked, even if just a little. He picked up a small analyzer and moved it near one of the glowing circuits. The device beeped and flashed red, warning him of high energy. Eli frowned. "This isn't normal," he whispered. "It's almost sentient." As he worked, the air in the dock shifted. Eli felt it first as a slight chill, a soft vibration under his feet. Then, from the corner of his eye, he noticed movement, a shadow flitting between the support pillars of the station. He froze, listening. "Who's there?" he called out, trying to keep his voice steady. No response came, just the low hum of the station and the distant clang of a docking shuttle. His heart thumped. He wasn't afraid of the dark or of intruders. He had dealt with pirates before and worse, but something about this felt different, calculated, intentional. Then, from the shadows, figures emerged, 3 humanoid shapes moving swiftly and silently. They were armed, but not like the common smugglers he had faced. Their weapons were sleek, alien designs with faint blue glows. Eli recognized danger immediately. They weren't here to negotiate or steal simple goods. They were here for someone, him or his mysterious client. Before he could react, a voice cut through the tension, calm but commanding. "Step aside, human." Eli spun around. She was there, the alien woman, her armor now fully repaired and glowing softly. Her presence was magnetic, almost overwhelming. The attackers froze slightly, sensing her power, but they didn't retreat. "I can handle this," she said, her tone low and steady. Eli hesitated, gripping his tool like a club. He wanted to step aside. He wanted to let her fight alone, but instinct took over and he stepped forward. "No, you're not facing them alone. I'm helping you." Her eyes flicked to his, surprise flashing across her features for a brief moment before being replaced with calm determination. "Very well," she said. The attackers moved at the same moment. Eli barely had time to act. He swung his tool, sparks flying as he deflected a strike aimed at her. She reacted instantly, her armor absorbing a powerful blow that would have shattered any ordinary plating. She countered with a sweep of her arm, sending one attacker sprawling into a support beam. Eli felt his pulse quicken. This was no ordinary fight. He ducked as another attacker lunged at him with a glowing blade. With a quick swing of his plasma welder, he sent the figure stumbling back, narrowly avoiding a cut. The alien woman moved with precision, almost like a dance. Every strike, every movement was measured. Eli could see that she had trained for years, possibly decades, to fight with this level of skill. He realized then that this wasn't just armor he had repaired. It was a part of her identity, her strength, her survival. The fight was brief, but intense. Eli and the alien woman moved in tandem, covering each other's weaknesses, exploiting the attacker's mistakes. Eli noticed something remarkable. She never wasted energy. Every action, every strike, every dodge was perfect, efficient, deadly if needed. Finally, the attackers retreated, realizing they were outmatched. They vanished into the shadows, leaving the station quiet once more. Eli breathed heavily, his chest rising and falling as he struggled to calm himself. She turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly. "You are brave and clever. That saved us both." Eli shook his head. "No, you saved me too. I was barely keeping up." Her lips curved into a faint smile, though her golden eyes remained serious. "You think yourself small, human, yet you acted with courage beyond fear. That is rare." Eli felt a strange warmth at her words. Nobody had ever spoken to him like that. Not commanders, not leaders, not even the best engineers on Earth. There was respect in her voice, and maybe trust. After a moment, she straightened and examined her armor. "The repair is complete," she said. "But it is more than metal and circuits. It is a shield, a symbol, and a weapon. Treat it with care. It carries more than its weight in gold, and in responsibility." Eli nodded. "I understand. I'll make sure it holds. I've never seen anything like it. Honestly, I still don't know what I just helped fix." She looked at him, her gaze thoughtful. "Perhaps it is better that you do not know yet. Some truths are heavy, and some knowledge dangerous. For now, know that your skills and your courage are valued." Eli smiled awkwardly. He had faced pirates, sabotage, and even rogue AI. But this was different. There was power here, something ancient and intelligent, something beyond comprehension, and somehow he had touched it, repaired it, and survived. For a long while they stood in silence, the hum of the station surrounding them. Eli thought about asking her where she came from, what her mission was, but he sensed that some questions were not yet safe. Then, as if confirming his thoughts, she moved toward the station doors. "I must continue my journey soon," she said, "but I will need allies. Not many can be trusted in these times. You may be one of the few." Eli blinked. "Me? Why me?" Her eyes softened slightly. "Because you chose courage. Because you chose to act when others would hesitate. Because you are human and humanity is unpredictable. You have potential. Do not waste it." Before he could reply, she stepped into the corridor, her figure disappearing among the docking ships and travelers. Eli felt a strange emptiness, as if a part of the station had vanished with her. He returned to his workbench, but his mind was restless. That armor, her presence, the way she moved, it all haunted him. Eli could feel the faint hum of residual energy from the circuits in his tools. He picked up the analyzer again, almost instinctively, as if the armor itself had left a trace in his workshop. The analyzer beeped softly. Eli frowned. The readings were faint but undeniable. Some energy had lingered. Something was following her, tracking her across the station. Eli's stomach tightened. He wasn't sure if it was curiosity or worry that pushed him to act, but he knew one thing. She was in danger. And if he had survived alongside her once, he could do it again. He gathered his tools, packed supplies, and checked his small spacecraft docked nearby. His mind raced with possibilities. Was she running from pirates, rival nations, a political enemy? He didn't know, but he had a growing sense of urgency. Eli took a deep breath. "All right, Eli," he whispered to himself. "If she's in trouble, I'm going to help her, even if I don't know the whole story yet." And somewhere deep inside, he realized that this wasn't just about courage or skill anymore. It was about being part of something bigger, something that might change the course of his life, and perhaps the lives of countless others. The station lights flickered as he stepped onto his ship. Engines hummed, systems checked, weapons online, just in case. Eli glanced at the coordinates he had managed to trace from the lingering energy signal. It wasn't much, but it was a start. As the docking clamps released and his small craft glided into the station corridor, Eli felt the thrill of the unknown. Ahead of him lay danger, uncertainty, and the promise of discovery. And for the first time in his life, he understood that sometimes being human, clever, brave, adaptable, was enough to stand alongside beings far greater than himself. Somewhere out there, the golden-eyed warrior moved forward on her own journey, and Eli would be right there, unseen but ready, willing to face whatever came next. The stars outside the viewport twinkled coldly, indifferent to human courage. Yet Eli didn't care. He had chosen his path. And for now, it was entwined with a warrior unlike any he had ever met. Someone who was not just a client, but a queen, a protector, and a mystery waiting to be understood. Eli's ship glided silently through the dark void outside the station. Stars stretched in long streaks across the viewport as he adjusted the course, following the faint energy traces left behind by the alien woman. The hum of the engines was soothing, yet his mind raced. He had no idea what awaited him, but he knew this was more than just a repair job. Somehow, he was now a part of something bigger than he had ever imagined. He reviewed the armor in his mind. It had been unlike anything he had ever touched. Self-repairing alloys, energy circuits that pulsed like a heartbeat, and symbols that seemed almost alive. Something about it had lingered, even after she left the station. It wasn't just technology, it felt personal. Almost like it carried a story he wasn't yet allowed to read. As he approached the coordinates, he noticed an abandoned research outpost floating near the edge of a nebula. Its hull was battered, and it drifted silently, as if forgotten by time. Eli's curiosity flared. He decided to investigate, thinking she might have left traces here. Docking carefully, he entered the airlock. The interior was dark, the corridors lit only by emergency lights. A thin layer of dust covered the floor, disturbed in some places by recent movement. He followed the faint energy readings from the armor, which seemed stronger here. At the center of the outpost, he found a chamber filled with holographic devices. One console flickered weakly, powered by a residual energy source. Eli approached, his hands hovering over the controls. As he touched the panel, a series of holograms sprang to life, illuminating the room in blue and gold light. He gasped. Symbols he had only seen in fragments on the armor now appeared in full, forming a map of star systems and emblems he didn't recognize. At the center was a figure, the same woman whose armor he had repaired. The hologram shifted, projecting her image in full detail, standing in a place that seemed both alien and majestic. Then a symbol appeared above her head, a golden crown with intricate patterns. Beneath it, the words glowed faintly, "Queen of the Arendari Empire." Eli staggered back. "Queen? She's a queen?" His voice echoed in the empty chamber. He sank onto a nearby crate, trying to process the revelation. All this time, he had seen her as a client, a warrior, maybe a traveler with some dangerous secrets. He had never imagined royalty, an entire empire, resting behind those golden eyes. The hologram shifted again, showing a series of communications, some encrypted and some open. Eli watched, fascinated and shocked, as the queen's movements and decisions were recorded. He saw her directing fleets, negotiating peace, and confronting enemies with a wisdom that went beyond years. Every motion, every decision was deliberate, powerful. A low hum filled the chamber. Eli realized it was the armor itself reacting to the proximity of the hologram. Symbols glowed brighter, circuits pulsing in rhythm with the Queen's image. He reached out hesitantly, touching one of the panels, and the hologram seemed to respond, projecting a map of the Arendari homeworld, a lush planet with sprawling cities and towering crystal spires. The realization hit him fully. The woman he had helped was not just strong or skilled, she was a leader, responsible for millions of lives. Every choice she made carried weight far beyond his imagination, and somehow, he had been trusted enough to repair her armor, to touch a part of her life that very few could access. He leaned back, running a hand through his hair. I had no idea, he muttered. The quiet hum of the chamber seemed to echo his words, as if acknowledging the truth. The door hissed suddenly, startling him. He spun around, expecting another intruder, but it was the Queen herself. She entered quietly, her armor glowing faintly in the dim light. Her eyes met his, golden and piercing, yet there was no anger, only calm, measured observation. "You found the hologram?" she said softly. "I did not expect that." Eli stood, feeling suddenly exposed. I didn't mean to intrude. I was curious about the armor, the energy. I never imagined... You're a queen. I had no idea." She studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Curiosity is natural, but now you know the truth. And with knowledge comes responsibility." Eli swallowed hard. "Responsibility? What do you mean?" She walked closer, her steps echoing softly in the chamber. "The armor you repaired is not just protection. It is part of my role as a leader. It carries symbols, technology, and secrets that must remain safe. If it falls into the wrong hands, it could endanger my people, my empire, and countless others." Eli nodded slowly. "I understand. I didn't know, but I want to help. If there's anything I can do, I will." Her expression softened, a rare moment of warmth breaking through her calm exterior. "I believe you. That is why I allowed you to repair it. You acted without hesitation, without fear, and with care. Those qualities are rare among humans." Eli felt a mix of pride and humility. "I'm just a mechanic," he said, shrugging. "I fix things. I don't usually save empires." She smiled faintly, a gesture that made her seem almost human in that instant. "You saved more than you realize. You acted when many would have hesitated. That is what makes humans unpredictable, and sometimes unpredictability is a strength." Eli's mind raced. "So, what happens now? You're a queen. You have enemies. People want to capture you, maybe even kill you. And what am I supposed to do?" She paused, her golden eyes locking onto his. "You must choose. You can remain safe here in your world, or you can step forward and help me. The path is dangerous, but it is also meaningful. The choice is yours." Eli swallowed. His heart pounded. Every instinct screamed to stay safe, to return to his quiet repair docks and avoid galactic politics. But another part of him, the part that had acted without hesitation to protect her, urged him forward. He couldn't turn away now. "I'll help," he said finally, his voice steady. "Even if I don't understand everything, I'll do what I can." The Queen nodded, her expression unreadable. "Then we must act quickly. There are forces already moving against me. Corruption runs deep, even within my empire. Some who claim loyalty are planning betrayal." Eli felt a chill. Betrayal. The word carried weight far beyond what he had experienced. He had dealt with treacherous clients and pirates, but this was political, interstellar. Lives, worlds, civilizations were at stake. She walked to a console, her fingers moving gracefully over the controls. Holograms of star systems, fleets, and agents appeared. "These are the areas of concern," she explained. "I need intelligence, strategies, and someone who can think outside the rules. That is why you are here." Eli leaned closer, studying the displays. His engineering mind quickly adapted to the tactical overlays, noticing patterns and connections she might have missed. "If I understand this correctly," he said, pointing at a cluster of fleets, "these systems are vulnerable because the defenders are spread thin. We could predict their movements, reinforce the weak points, and possibly intercept the attackers before they strike." Her eyes widened slightly in surprise. "You see the possibilities quickly. Most humans do not. That is impressive." Eli felt a small thrill. He had always taken pride in problem-solving, but now it mattered on a scale he had never imagined. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was a partner, a strategist, and a human with the potential to influence events across the stars. The Queen regarded him thoughtfully. "We must move soon. Every moment wasted gives our enemies advantage. Are you ready, human?" Eli straightened, determination settling in his chest. "Yes, I'm ready. Tell me what to do." She nodded once, sharply. "Then listen carefully. We begin with the agents here, on this station. They are the first step. They must be intercepted before they alert others. You will assist me in preparation and execution. Your skills will be tested beyond your comfort, but I believe you can succeed." Eli's heart raced. Danger, uncertainty, and the thrill of doing something meaningful surged through him. He realized this was no longer just about repair or survival. This was a chance to prove that humans could stand alongside the greatest beings in the galaxy, to act with courage, ingenuity, and resolve. For the first time in his life, Eli felt fully alive, not just a human engineer in a quiet dock, but a participant in something epic. And beside him, the Queen, the mysterious warrior, trusted him. He took a deep breath. "Then let's begin." Her armor glowed faintly as she nodded. "Together, we will face what comes, and together, we will see this through." Outside the outpost, the stars continued to twinkle, silent witnesses to the beginning of a new alliance. One human and one queen, united by courage, trust, and the shared understanding that the fate of many rested on their actions. And in the quiet hum of the chamber, Eli realized that nothing would ever be the same. Eli and the Queen moved silently through the corridors of the abandoned station, their steps echoing softly against the metallic floors. Though the fight with the attackers had ended, Eli could still feel the tension in the air. Every shadow seemed to hide potential danger, and every sound made him flinch slightly. He wasn't just following orders, he was learning to anticipate threats, to move with a purpose he had never known before. The Queen's armor glowed faintly in the dim light, and Eli could feel the residual energy pulsing from it, a subtle reminder of the power she carried. He had repaired the armor, but now he realized it was not just a protective shell. It was an extension of her, almost alive, almost aware of the dangers around her. "We need to move quickly," she said quietly, her voice calm but urgent. "The agents we intercepted are only the first wave. Others are already mobilizing. If we delay, the Empire itself could be in jeopardy." Eli nodded. "Understood. But how do we even find them? There could be dozens, hundreds, hiding in stations, ships, or entire sectors." She turned to him, her golden eyes sharp and calculating. "We follow the patterns. Every empire has weaknesses, even mine. They strike where they think I am strongest. But humans, you see patterns differently. You think outside the rules. That is why you are here." Eli felt a strange mix of pride and anxiety. He had never considered himself strategic beyond fixing machines and improvising solutions. Yet now he was trusted to help a queen protect an entire civilization. They began by accessing the station's surveillance network. Holographic displays flickered to life as the Queen typed in complex commands. Images of ships, agents, and unknown entities appeared, mapping the movements of potential threats. Eli leaned closer, analyzing the patterns. These 3 ships here, he pointed at a cluster of moving points. They're moving in formation, but the distance between them changes in a predictable way. If we calculate their acceleration and vectors, we can intercept before they reach the next checkpoint. The Queen's eyes widened slightly. Impressive. You understand coordination and timing intuitively. Most would need weeks of training to see this. Eli shrugged. I've always liked solving problems, even unusual ones. This just happens to be bigger than any I've solved before. She nodded, a faint smile touching her lips. Then we shall put your skills to the test. The first mission was simple in concept, but dangerous in execution. A group of agents loyal to the corrupt officials had been spotted near a minor supply station. Their plan was to gather weapons and intelligence to sabotage the Queen's forces. Eli and the Queen would intercept them, neutralize the threat, and gather information about the larger conspiracy. They traveled in a small, agile ship, skimming past asteroids and debris fields. Eli worked the controls with precision, adjusting the trajectory as the Queen directed him. She coordinated their approach, analyzing enemy patterns and instructing him on maneuvers that would minimize detection. Slow down your approach by 3 degrees, she instructed. The sensors are tuned to detect rapid motion. Move predictably but not too slowly. Let them underestimate you. Eli adjusted the controls carefully. Got it. Predictable but not too predictable. As they neared the supply station, the agents' ships came into view. Sleek, dark vessels with faint glows of weaponry. Eli's heart pounded. This was his first real test alongside the Queen, and he knew failure was not an option. The Queen's armor glowed brighter as she prepared for combat. Stay focused, she said. We act together, but we each cover weaknesses. Trust in your skills, human. Eli nodded, feeling a surge of determination. They approached from an unexpected angle, using asteroid shadows to hide their approach. Eli piloted the ship carefully, while the Queen used her armor's energy to create a temporary shield around the vessel, masking it from detection. When the agents noticed them, it was too late. The Queen moved with precision, disabling one ship's energy systems with a focused pulse from her armor. Eli's quick thinking allowed them to avoid incoming fire, using the ship's maneuvering thrusters to dodge and counter. In minutes, the agents were neutralized, their ships disabled or captured. Eli couldn't believe how well they worked together. He reacted instinctively, and she adapted instantly, anticipating his moves as though she could see through him. Once the immediate threat was contained, the Queen directed Eli to scan the captured ships. Hidden compartments contained weapons, encrypted communications, and data logs detailing plans to destabilize the Empire. This confirms it, she said. The conspiracy runs deeper than we thought. The traitors have infiltrated not just the military but the civilian sectors as well. We will need more allies, human ingenuity, and speed to stop them. Eli studied the data carefully, amazed at how much information they had uncovered. We can predict their next moves, he said. Using their own patterns, we can stay ahead of them, and maybe even cut off their supply lines before they realize what's happening. The Queen nodded. Excellent. Your human perspective is invaluable. Few can think so creatively under pressure. Few would even survive the first encounter with me, let alone contribute to strategy. Eli felt a swell of pride. I'm just doing what I can. I've always fixed things. I never imagined I'd be helping a queen save her empire. She studied him quietly. And yet you do more than fix things. You adapt. You survive. You think beyond fear. That is what makes humans remarkable. That is why I trust you. They spent the next several hours preparing for the next stage. Eli worked on modifying drones and small weapons, while the Queen analyzed enemy data and mapped the larger network of traitors. Together, they planned a series of strategic strikes to disrupt the enemy's operations, prevent sabotage, and gather intelligence. As they worked, Eli noticed something remarkable. Despite the danger, the Queen treated him as an equal in planning. She asked his opinions, considered his suggestions, and even allowed him to test his engineering ideas on real devices. It was the first time he felt truly valued, not just as a human, but as someone capable of influencing outcomes on a galactic scale. Finally, the preparations were complete. Eli and the Queen left the supply station, ready to implement their plans. They moved through space with careful precision, intercepting communications, disabling ships, and sabotaging enemy supplies. Every mission was dangerous, every step a test of skill, courage, and trust. Eli marveled at how well they worked together. He anticipated her needs, adjusted strategies, and applied his engineering knowledge in ways that directly influenced the outcome. And the Queen, always composed, always brilliant, adapted to his input, valuing his instincts and creativity. Through every challenge, Eli realized something profound. Humanity, with its ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability, was not inferior. In the hands of someone willing to act, even a single human could change the course of events, influence outcomes, and stand alongside the greatest powers in the galaxy. Days passed. Their successes gained momentum, and the enemy's plans began to unravel. Eli and the Queen grew closer, forming a bond built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. He learned more about her world, the burdens of leadership, and the weight of responsibility that came with being a queen. In return, she began to appreciate the subtle genius of human thought, the way Eli could see solutions others overlooked, improvise under pressure, and act decisively when hesitation would be fatal. One evening, after a particularly intense operation, they returned to the ship to rest. Eli sat at the controls, analyzing data, while the Queen removed her helmet, letting the soft light reveal her features. "You have done well," she said quietly. "More than you realize." Eli smiled faintly. "I'm just a mechanic who happened to get lucky." She shook her head. "Luck has little to do with it. Choice does. Courage, intellect, and determination, those are the marks of someone who can make a difference. That is why humans are valuable, why you are valuable." Eli felt a warmth in his chest he couldn't explain. I'll keep doing my best, no matter what comes." She nodded. "Good. We will need it. The greater threat is still ahead. But together, we will prevail." Eli looked out the viewport at the stars, their light stretching across the void. He thought about the journey so far, repairing her armor, facing danger, learning the truth about her identity, and now fighting alongside a queen. He realized that courage was not just about facing fear. It was about taking action when the stakes were highest, when the odds seemed impossible. And for the first time, Eli truly understood the meaning of being human in a galaxy of wonders, to stand, to act, and to make a difference, even against overwhelming odds. As their ship glided silently through the stars, he felt ready for whatever came next. The alliance had been forged, not by rank or title, but by courage, trust, and the unbreakable bond between a human engineer and a queen. The journey was far from over. Danger, conspiracy, and battles still awaited them. But Eli knew one thing. Together, they could face anything. Together, they could change the course of the galaxy. The void of space stretched endlessly before Eli and the Queen as their small ship approached the enemy stronghold. It was massive, a fortress-like station orbiting a dying star, its dark hull bristling with weaponry and shields that flickered ominously. Eli felt a chill run down his spine. This was no ordinary mission. Failure here could mean disaster not just for the Queen, but for countless worlds across the Arendari Empire. He glanced at the Queen, sitting calmly in her seat, armor glowing faintly with the rhythm of her heartbeat. Despite the danger, she radiated focus and strength. Her golden eyes were steady, calculating, aware of every possibility. Eli felt both awe and a growing sense of purpose. "This is it," she said softly. "Inside that station are the leaders of the conspiracy. They plan to take control of my empire, using fear, sabotage, and lies. We cannot let that happen." Eli nodded, adjusting the ship's controls. "Understood. We'll need to be careful. Their defenses are strong, but maybe we can use stealth and strategy to get inside first." The Queen inclined her head. "Yes. But remember, we must act decisively. Hesitation will cost lives. We move together as one. Are you ready, human?" Eli swallowed, his heart pounding. "Yes, I'm ready." They activated the cloaking system on their ship, slipping past the outer defense grid of the station. Eli's hands moved quickly, adjusting thrusters and scanning for patrol ships. The Queen monitored enemy signals, her armor's sensors interfacing with the ship's systems, guiding them through narrow corridors of space undetected. Minutes felt like hours as they approached the main entrance. Eli could feel the tension in every control panel, every pulse of energy. The station's shields were strong, but the Queen had prepared a plan. Using a small energy pulse from her armor, she temporarily disrupted a segment of the shield, creating a narrow opening just wide enough for their ship to slip through. Eli's hands were steady, though his mind raced. "Now or never," he muttered. He guided the ship through the breach, the hull scraping the edge of the shield for a tense moment, before slipping safely inside. Inside, the station was dark and silent. Only the faint hum of power systems and the distant clatter of automated defenses filled the corridors. The Queen stood, moving with a grace that belied her height, while Eli followed, eyes scanning for threats. "They will expect us," she said, "but they will not expect ingenuity. That is where humans excel." Eli nodded, understanding the weight of her words. He was not a soldier, but his human mind could improvise, adapt, and turn ordinary tools into solutions for extraordinary problems. He felt a surge of confidence. They moved through the station, disabling surveillance systems and quietly neutralizing minor security units. Eli's engineering skills were invaluable. He bypassed locks, rerouted energy conduits, and used small drones to scout ahead. Every step brought them closer to the heart of the conspiracy. Finally, they reached the central command chamber. The door was massive, reinforced with multiple layers of alloy and energy shields. Eli studied the locking mechanism, frowning. "This is advanced, but not impossible. If I redirect the power from these conduits, we can create a temporary opening." The Queen watched, golden eyes steady. "Do it, quickly. We have little time." Eli worked swiftly, rerouting power, diverting energy, and carefully bypassing the security grid. Sparks flew, alarms threatened to sound, but he persisted, his hands steady despite the pressure. Finally, with a hiss and a glow, the door slid open. They stepped inside. The chamber was vast, filled with holographic displays showing troop movements, communications, and plans to destabilize the Empire. At the center, a group of alien leaders, the conspirators, stood in shock, weapons drawn. The Queen raised her hand. Energy flaring from her armor, and the chamber's lights reflected off the gold and silver plating, casting long shadows. "You have underestimated me," she said, her voice firm, commanding, "and you have underestimated the courage of humans." The conspirators attacked. Energy blasts and weapon fire filled the room, but the Queen moved with precision, deflecting and countering each strike. Eli, improvising rapidly, used a combination of drones, rerouted energy panels, and quick mechanical devices to shield them and disable enemy weapons. For every attack the conspirators launched, Eli found a way to turn it against them. He rigged consoles to overload, sent small drones to disable power sources, and even used the station's gravity controls to tip the floor against advancing enemies. The Queen adapted instantly, exploiting the openings he created, moving with deadly grace. Minutes passed like moments. The tide of battle shifted steadily in their favor. The conspirators, confident in their numbers and power, faltered under the combined ingenuity of human and Queen. One by one, their weapons were disabled, their communications cut, and their plans revealed for all to see. Finally, the leader of the conspirators, a tall alien with black armor and glowing red eyes, lunged at the Queen. Eli reacted instinctively, sending a drone to intercept, knocking the attacker off balance. The Queen delivered a precise strike, disarming him and rendering him unconscious. Silence fell over the chamber. The holographic displays flickered, showing the now futile plans of the conspirators. The threat had been neutralized. Eli exhaled deeply, feeling the weight of what had just happened. He looked at the Queen, her armor still glowing, eyes scanning the room to ensure no danger remained. "You did well," she said softly, turning to him. "More than well. Your ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, you have saved countless lives today." Eli felt a warmth spread through him. "We did it together," he said, voice still trembling slightly from adrenaline. "I couldn't have done it alone." She inclined her head, a rare gesture of approval. "And that is precisely the point. Even the strongest cannot act alone. But with courage, skill, and trust, even the impossible can be achieved." The station's systems hummed, re-establishing control under the Queen's guidance. Communications were restored, and loyal forces throughout the Empire were alerted to the thwarted conspiracy. Eli realized the full scope of what they had accomplished. They had prevented a coup, saved an empire, and exposed corruption that could have spread like wildfire. Later, in the calm after the battle, the Queen approached Eli. She placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture heavy with meaning. "You have my respect," she said. "Few humans have ever acted with such bravery, skill, and loyalty. You are a testament to your species." Eli felt a surge of pride and humility. He had always known humans were clever, adaptable, and resourceful, but hearing it from a Queen, someone who had lived among the greatest powers in the galaxy, made it real. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I just did what I thought was right. I guess being human has its moments." The Queen smiled faintly. "It does, and it is in those moments that true heroes are revealed. You have proven that humans, though small in stature compared to some, possess courage, ingenuity, and heart that rival the greatest of beings." Eli looked out at the stars through the chamber's viewport. The Empire was safe for now, and the conspirators were captured. Yet he knew this was only one victory in a galaxy full of challenges. Still, for the first time, he felt that humans could stand alongside the mightiest forces in the universe, that courage, ingenuity, and moral conviction could make a real difference. The Queen placed her hand lightly on the ship's console. "There is still work to be done," she said. "But today we have shown that together, human and Arendari, we can face any challenge. Remember this feeling. Remember that courage matters, and never doubt the value of your choices." Eli nodded, determination burning in his chest. "I won't forget. I'll continue to help. Whatever comes next, I'll be ready." The Queen studied him for a moment, golden eyes reflecting the distant stars. "Good. That is why you are here. That is why humanity is remarkable. It is unpredictable, adaptable, brave. And sometimes that is all that is needed to change the course of history." They stood together for a long moment, silent, the hum of the station surrounding them. Outside, the stars twinkled silently, indifferent yet magnificent witnesses to the courage of a human and a queen. Finally, the queen spoke, her voice soft but firm. The empire will rebuild. The conspirators will answer for their crimes. And you, human, will be remembered, not just for your skill, but for your courage, your ingenuity, and your heart. Eli smiled, feeling a mix of pride, relief, and humility. I never thought repairing armor would lead to this. She inclined her head, a faint smile touching her lips. Few beginnings are humble, yet few have such consequences. Today, you have proven that even the smallest actions can change worlds. And in the quiet hum of the station, as the stars shimmered beyond, Eli realized something profound. Humanity was not defined by size, strength, or numbers. It was defined by courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to act when it mattered most. He had started as a simple engineer, repairing armor for a mysterious client. He had faced danger, discovered the truth of her identity, and fought alongside a queen to save an empire. And now he stood recognized, not just as a human, but as a hero whose choices, ingenuity, and courage had made a difference across the stars. Together, human and queen looked out at the galaxy, ready for whatever challenges the future might bring. And Eli knew in that moment that nothing would ever be the same. The stars shimmered silently, endless and eternal, witnessing the triumph of courage, the power of ingenuity, and the undeniable value of being human.